And unlike, I'll pivot this, unlike your ability to actually help professional League of Legends teams, because Thorin, did you see Riot's latest announcement today about how they are very seriously going to be helping the teams by providing them revenue share through digital goods? Did you see what they announced?
The Emotes, you mean? Or what comes
Yes.
or whatever?
Yes. So what I found hilarious is it, once again, Riot, their announcement is just so big. It says, earlier this year, we hinted at a big change. This is the big change they hinted at. They needed just to tease us with this, because what is that big change? Custom emotes designed by all the pro teams competing in Tier 1 LoL esports leagues. What does that mean? It means you can
only
get
2024, by the way.
It's only 2024. By the way,
they just invented them. Hey,
yeah,
cool. They just invented them. Awesome.
This could have been done 10 years ago.
What was the not TSM thing the whole time? You know what I mean? Like, these guys don't, the amount of money they've turned down is mental in it. It's mental.
Yeah, they've just like Riot invented esports, Thor, and they've now invented Counter-Strike stickers. So great for them. Except these stickers don't increase in value, can't be transferred between accounts, and nobody will buy. So if you guys look, I'm sure you've seen this, you can go buy, each team got to help like co-design an emote that gets put into the game. Now these emotes, Thorin, sell for 350 RP, which is about, depending on how much RP you get, because obviously if you spend more money to buy a larger bundle of RP, the RP gets cheaper. But let's just say it's around $2.50, okay? If you're in America, like it's around $2.50. And 30% of that glorious revenue, Thorin, will be going to the teams, which means that if we say it's $2.50, that means per emote, 75 cents will go to the team, which, by the way, Thorin, means that if you want to make $100,000 if you're a team, which is, let me be very clear, basically no money to a professional team that is paying players millions of dollars on payroll. A
very small sponsor.
Yeah, it would be an itty bitty sponsor for one of these teams.
Yeah, like a one-off thing.
You would if you want to make $100,000, you have to sell 133,000 emotes. Now, how many players do you think?
Basically, what they've done is they've done like the equivalent of Spotify, where it's like you have to get like 7 billion players, and then you make like there's $1 million. You know what I mean? Like it's like impossible to ever actually scale up. Because by the way, if you're saying that, I already know what a dickhead's going to say, Monty. They're going to go, but you don't understand. There are millions of Cloud9 fans not who are going to buy this emoticon. There aren't. You fucking idiot. Like the problem is you actually need the opposite. You need to get whales. What you want is like the 10,000 Cloud9 fans who would buy something dope to give you like $10. That's what you need.
Well, here's the thing,
70 cents, it's not going to cut it.
In Valorant, and League of Legends fans may not know this, the Valorant cut for the pistols, so they gave team pistol skins, player cards, a lot of special in-game effects. Those pistols, like the team packages, I think they sold for like $20 or $25, and the teams got a 50% rev share, which actually could potentially be meaningful, right? But even in a world where, you would have to make like $1 million off of this for it to be meaningful. And I just love the fact that Riot's big reveal to help the teams is emotes. Like they're like, we promised you this mysterious thing. Well, here it is. It's just an emote for $2.50, and the teams get 30% of that revenue.
Do you remember that video I made, LCS Economics, where I explained that the 10 LCS teams had collectively paid up to last year something like $200 million in salary and housing and expenses, and they'd received 130. Right? Do the math. Like, why would this 100K even touch the side?
If they even got 100K, I think you would be.
They're not going to get 100K. They're going to get 15K or something, mate. Yeah, 10K, I'd say. That's more reasonable.
You'd be lucky to get 100K out of this, I think. Because you have to remember that there's also one emote for every single Tier 1 professional team. That means all the teams in LCK, LPL, LEC, and LCS. So how many fans are going to realistically buy, 10 of these? You're really going to spend $25 on emotes in games? You're probably going to buy 1 or 2, maybe, if you buy any at all. And frankly, like, I don't even know how many people buy emotes in League of Legends. It's certainly not a skin, for example, but it's impossible apparently for League of Legends to do chroma skins or anything like that for the teams. They did it one time and then never did it again. But I mean, this is almost as bad as nothing at all, except for the fact that they made this, like, they said that this was the thing that they were teasing, and it is just so pathetic. It's such, like, the teams can't, I mean, I can tell you the teams aren't happy with this. It's ridiculous. And this is coming off the heels of the quietly canceled streaming platform that Riot was supposed to be making, which I now am wondering about, Thorin. I'm now wondering if the Saudis are making a streaming platform, which is why Riot canceled their streaming platform plans. Because I think if we're going to be real, the true way to save esports, and because they can't get media rights deals, is to collaboratively create a streaming platform that you can charge a subscription for that has all the major developers esports on it, and then they take that revenue and it's split up by the viewership to those developers and to ESL, right, for Counter-Strike. So maybe they're developing a streaming platform, which is why Riot actually canceled theirs. But if not, they just canceled it, said fuck you to the teams. We promised you that this was going to drive digital revenue, and now it's gone. They still have never sold a meaningful, well, they sold a media rights deal that they never got money from, as far as we know. But it has been just a complete disaster. And, like, this is the lifeline they're sending the teams. By the way, Thorin, while they are doing this, they are cutting stipends for the professional teams for next year.
Or wouldn't they?
And they are, well, what they're going to say, Thorin, which is going to be very funny, is that the potential to earn money is more because they're adding incentives. But as I understand it, these incentives are basically unreachable. So in effect, the effect of this is going to be basically every team just gets less money, which is probably going to incentivize some of them to leave LCS, right, and take a payout.
Which, by the way, is why they're all morons, but okay.
But I mean,
this is the dumbest thing of all time. Why did you wait, if you're a team owner, 10 years for this to all fail? So you waited 10 years, and I just said you spent like each $10 million or something, just pissing it into the hall of paying Uni and Double Lift. And meanwhile, it's never getting you any money. You were never getting any money from it. You were getting rev from the sponsorships, but you were never making money back from those players' salaries. And then all you had to do the whole time, Monty, remember, you've waited too long now. All the franchise leagues are gone. But that era around 2016 to 2019, when all the franchise leagues were coming, CDL, OWL, fucking LCS, LEC, you had Flashpoint, you had a bunch of things, even other things promised, PEA, there was all these ideas in the works, right? Here's what you did then. The people who actually, this is how I know that the people who are esports business owners have already capped out to their level and they'll never get above that. What you should have done is realized, right, this team over here, let's pick a random one. Back in the day, it would have been like, what's a smaller one in theory? FlyQuest in theory, there you go. FlyQuest doesn't have a big fan base, right? You don't waste your time with them. You get Cloud9 and I'm talking about their peak. You get Cloud9, TSM, Team Liquid. You all get together and you have a literal cadre and you go to people like Riot and you say, right, here's how it's going to be. It's literally impossible and untenable, your current model. I don't want to wait on the promise you might do something in 3 years. I'm going to leave your game unless you do the following things. And I'm not only going to leave, I'm going to go to a rival league. I'm going to go to the Overwatch League. I'm going to go to Flashpoint. I'm going to go to another league, right? And this is something you're going to have to go and negotiate with me. Now, at the time, I totally believe Riot at the time could have just said, hey, we don't care. It's how we are a small startup studio that made a free game. You are Yeah, they could have done that then, but they can't do that now. Now they need that, by the way. By the way, what do you think, Monty, the viewership on LCS would be if C9 and Team Liquid leave tomorrow? And in comes, I'll pick two random orgs. In comes M80, which is a small NACS org, and in comes, like, pick a random European one, like, you know, fucking medium size, OG buys in. The viewership's dead. If it's 40K now, it's like 10K. You know what I mean?
Here's
Like,
the
it's
thing.
nothing.
Those teams are
never
never
muscle.
Those teams are never going to leave because their boards the boards of those companies consist of venture capitalists who want the asset because they think the asset of the slot has value. So it's basically, they're just in an abusive relationship with Riot Games forever. Because here's what's clear, guys. Riot has stopped giving a fuck about the teams. They're not doing anything to help the teams. They are lowering stipends. They are putting out these dog shit digital goods instead of something that could actually help. These are really shitty band-aids. They can't sell media rights. They're sponsored. We'll see how the sponsorship does. But honestly, it looks increasingly likely that they're just going to try and foist the competitive circuit off on the Saudis at some point in time. And like, they're done. They're done helping the teams. Like they have never been able to figure out a business model where the teams were an actual partner. And the teams are hostages because their boards are filled with people who spent tens of millions of dollars in order to purchase the assets of the LCS or LEC slots or LCK slots, who will not let them abandon these leagues because it is the one thing that is giving the LoL side money, like value. Effectively.
I mean, you've nailed it there. The real problem also is venture capital, Monty. Remember, I don't blame Riot for this. Riot actually did create what would have been for an org a sustainable model. It wouldn't be for Riot. They'd just be giving money, so they'd have to make money through the game. When they created the LCS and they gave that stipend, Monty, every pro player who plays both splits gets $25,000 a year. So essentially what we're saying is we're going to pay you enough salary to be a pro, and then your org can pay you on top of that. So then, now TSM can offer a bit more if they want the best player. The orgs with the venture capital doing that bidding war is what absolutely ruined the league. Like Riot, actually, their original model would work today, Monty. You could still have... Look, this may be double-lifted league because he wants to be a millionaire. But the point is, double-lifted league, the next young AD carry would go, wait a minute, 25k base, and then maybe my org gives out no bonuses. I make the playoffs, I get like 5k split. Dude, someone would play for that. I know, because people used to play for free. So, like,
right.
The model
Plus
was
housing
there.
and food and everything like that. So, that'd be included.
But, like... Why can't there be a bit in between? Because if you don't understand the concept of like VC and just wasting people's money, now you will always drive the price up. That's how our market works. You'll never be able to do that. Because when people just say in the modern day, just offer less salary, then you'll have the worst team in the league. That's just how that works. You can't be the guy who now gives 100k when everyone gives 1 million. So the problem is these orgs, they also, by the way, engaged in a chicken-esque suicide race to the end to see who would be the one with all the VC left over and who'd have nothing. So the orgs also have to completely carry that can themselves, mate. They're the ones who willingly brought in the millions and pissed them all into this thing. So everyone shares blame in this, in my opinion.
Yeah, but what the result of this, Thorin, is just going to be... And I don't mean that this is going to happen tomorrow. It will be slow, but it is going to result in the death of League of Legends esports, because over time, teams are not going to be willing to lose this money, and they're just going to be camping basically their slots within the league. We've already seen that happen in LCS, guys, where a bunch of these orgs were just sitting there on the stipend, like being slightly profitable. And we saw the, player salaries go to, I think, a reasonable and sustainable level, obviously, for the stipends they were receiving. You might be mad that teams didn't pay players a fuck ton of money, but I think the teams as businesses were doing absolutely the right thing. And this is an issue that, it's just going to slowly suck all of the hype out of the league. We see this because they're cutting money everywhere. It's why the one arena event is in Los Angeles, the same city that LCS is in this year. It's why they cut the arena event down to 1 in LEC. It's why I think they will cut in LCK the arena event down to 1 next year.
I want to talk about that topic as well. Do you know, Monty, how embarrassing this is for League of Legends now, mate? Right? League of Legends, you do understand, Monty, it's impossible for Dota or Counter-Strike to ever match League of Legends player base because they don't have the entire world unlocked. You can't ever reach it. So League of Legends has the ultimate constant advantage, right? They're basically born on a 100 meters race at the 50 meter mark, Monty. They can only lose if they fuck up themselves. So you've now taken the biggest game ever. Remember how League of Legends got massive in the first place? Because you footed all these builds. Here's the difference, Monty. The CS major in 2014 would be in maybe, in fact, it wasn't even in access till 2015. The CS major in 2014 was just at Gamescom. It was a hall at Gamescom. Or it was like Katowice, an old fucking Soviet thing that fits like 6,000 people, and they just have to use a fisheye lens to make it look... That was CS at its peak, Monty. League of Legends now has one arena event for LEC per year. While I'm not joking, Monty, there are like Blast events that have like a 5k fucking fan base in random countries, and Blast isn't even we call that a banana cup. It's not even considered the peak. ESL, the length says that right now that IEM Cologne can sit something like 16,000 when they sell out. Do you know what a clown show it makes League of Legends look like? That European League of Legends can't even have one event even comparable to like the 4th biggest event in CS. This just looks clownish. And anyone going, because it's true that you lose money doing it, Yes, but this was about appearances, wasn't it? It was about showing that you're the big esport. In this scenario, why is anyone ever going to pay us? And also, I'll just throw this in there. You've absolutely ruined the EULCS LEC history by having people play in the same studio for the finals to be the champion of your region. That is shameful. Do you want another little detail right now that's going on in CS? In CS, we have a team called Mouse, right? And what they did is they brought up all their academy players, and they're amazing. Their team, if you put them into a studio like that, would win the LEC. But you know what, Monty? They've only won 2 events, and they were events that had really small audiences of a few hundred people. So we don't even consider them the real best team. We all tell them, because they've chalked every time they've been in the big stage, until you do it on the big stage, like Access, like a major, we don't even give you the status. The joke in LEC is they'd be the fucking dominant team, mate. That's what a joke League of Legends is now.
I mean, remember how weird LEC got during COVID? You know what I mean?
LEC literally is worse than fucking 2008 esports.
and you know, here's the other thing is that the degradation of the product is just going to accelerate the decline of the esport, because people aren't going to be hyped to watch if they feel like, you know, it's not as good as what they remember. You know what I mean?
One of the most popular features in these stadium events, Monty, is to have the crowd noise when you're listening on broadcast. Even when you're at home, you want to hear the crowd roar when the clutch happens or someone's sneaking up behind. That's actually literally considered like an atmospheric, aesthetic quality to watching the tournament.
You want the
Instead,
shots of the stadium.
And here's Caps. He's the GOAT at winning in a broom closet. What are you talking about, dickheads? What pressure does he feel walking out onto the same stage that instead, just on the big screen says, it's the final instead of week 1 of the groups? What is this?
It also affects the performance of the casters, because I can tell you, I mean, you and I can both tell, you know, we give better performances when we're actually in live venues with a giant crowd responding. Like, that fuels casters and analysts as well. And it gets those epic moments. And most of the big epic moments, I think, in esports history would not have been possible from a casting perspective without the crowd being there, because it adds that extra energy and that extra element. So, I mean, I think it's absolutely outrageous. And that's not even counting the fact, Thorin, that Swiss stage is going to be played in the tiny ass LEC studio in Berlin this Worlds. I mean, the cost cutting is ridiculous. It is absolutely absurd right now.
I actually think, for real, that's actually one of the reasons why in League of Legends you've ruined all the international tournaments. And people like Chovy, they're choking at Worlds. He only had about 5 lands. What are we talking about? He had something like 4 or 5 groups, like playoffs at Worlds, Monty, over 4 or 5 years. And then we go, why isn't he adapted? You know, in CS, people like Astralis choked for 1.5 or 2 years, then got over it after, I'm going to say, 40 lands, Monty. Let's say 10 of them were in front of a big crowd. Then they became the most dominant team ever to play Counter-Strike. So essentially, if Astralis had existed in League of Legends, they would have never, ever won anything. Or the other way around, they'd have won everything, but they never had to get good on their stage. Well, the point is they wouldn't win Worlds. There you go. How about that angle? They wouldn't win Worlds. So I think the Chovy angle is the best one, mate. Like, that's actually one of the factors that also plays to Faker's advantage. He's got 1 billion years in the tank compared to the new guy now. Like, the new guy now shouldn't be able to beat Faker. He's just going on his 2nd world stage. Faker's been there like 6 times or something mental.
There also used to be, at the start of Faker's career, there used to be 3 giant LAN finals, like stadium finals, a year, and he was in many of these, right? So, I mean, he just had more opportunities to play in front of the large crowd, and like I just fundamentally don't understand, Thorin, how in 2013 and 2014, OGN, a third-party production company, could do 3 stadium finals a year, but there's a possibility that we go to 1 stadium final in Korea next year, despite the fact that Korean viewership is way bigger now than it was in the past. And the fact that Riot was only paying for 50% of the costs of those events, and OGN was getting sponsors and covering the other half themselves. So how is that possible? How can we have just gone backwards over 10 years despite massively increased viewership? The whole thing is completely fucked.
What, in terms of viewership or revenue, does paying to have a pop song beyond Worlds do? I'm being serious. Does it add anything? Can you think of a single angle that adds something?
No. I mean, I think
guess, how much do you think it costs to license Lil Nas X's song to go on to Worlds?
$1 billion.
That's an event right there. That's a massive event right there. You just did. That's MSI. No, that's LEC finals or LCK final. There you go. That's the best one ever.
Probably,
but you spent it on a pop song.
Probably less than that, honestly. For the finals, for like an LCK finals at Korean costs, it's probably, I don't know, maybe it is $1 million for a stadium event like that.
Depends how big you want it to be, but you know what I mean? I mean, for LEC, you could just do a 10K event. Obviously, you don't have to do like the massive one. You could do a 5K event. You could just do, that's the other thing that's so stupid, Monty. I refuse to believe this. So you can, I actually think this is the real reason why, Monty. I know it'll sound mad, but I think in a fucked up sense, because I always have to put myself in this position with Riot, where you're an insane narcissist who can never be wrong ever on any topic. So I think they actually do think this, Monty. That it's psychologically less embarrassing to be in the same studio you're in for the group stage for the finals than to not be in the Lanxess and to be in like the 3K small theater. I think somehow to go in the theater makes it clear, like, it's not really that big, is it? It obviously doesn't make any money. I think you either have to be in the football stadium if you're Riot, or you have to be in the studio. And I think that mentality, by the way, is the ultimate mentality that's always held esports back. It's the notion, which everyone who understands economics should understand, you can't have infinite growth. There can't be infinite growth. You can't always be getting bigger. There have to be times when things are, lean times, things are getting smaller. But this notion that Riot always has to pretend everything's getting bigger and better and better and better, I think they believe in that shit still, mate. I still think they do.
You know what's wild too, Thorin, is that because the new season of Arcane is coming out in November, you just know that the timing of this is coinciding with Worlds, and all they're going to do for Worlds is advertise Arcane instead of promoting the teams and players, which, would help the teams and players, because they're going to want to have the World Finals, do a giant Arcane advertisement during it, and then release Arcane immediately afterwards. But the thing about it, Thorin, is that I don't think the teams get paid by Riot because Arcane is advertised, right? Even though they could sell potentially other sponsorships or actually, I don't know, feature the teams and players and the esports side of things more during the actual World Championship. So they just take prime advertising real estate, use it to advertise their own IP, and the teams just, get nothing out of that. Just get fucking nothing. It's ridiculous. Like, I just don't understand how any of the teams could look at this relationship with Riot with clear eyes and say, this is a good business partnership. It's not a partnership. They literally are not transparent with you in any way, shape, or form.
I know why that is, though. I think to Riot, I mean, Valve is the worst for this. They really do believe it's just about players, and teams are like parasites in the way of earning money and trapping the player. I think to Riot, they never got that TSM was it. They never got that TSM was North American League of Legends. In their brain, if TSM wasn't there paying them, there'd be another org, and the odd one and Reggie and Wild Turtle would have played for them. So no problem. The players will still be there. So why do we need TSM? I think that's genuinely their mentality. Hence why, famously, they did that thing in like 2017 where they were like, stop spending money on the other game, you idiot, and put it in League of Legends. That's why Mark Merrill did that stupid comment. They never ever got that these, essentially, I think in the esports industry, no one actually acknowledges what the team orgs do. I did a video the other day about this from the pro side where I tried to explain to pros that, like, none of these orgs are being greedy and stealing your money, dickhead. They're paying you all the money and losing all the money in their company. I explained, look, obviously the CEO pays himself his own salary, but the company bleeds millions so that you can make your massive salary. Because you don't know how dumb they are, Monty. Like, you should have seen when those fucking players were in MIBR, the Brazilians. They were going on stream when they'd already gotten their, 100K plus salary. Then, for some stupid reason, this is mismanagement, the people who ran that org just said, fuck it, give them the bonuses, even though they never unlocked them with the accomplishments. So they gave them the 6-figure salary and bonuses, and then people like Fur would go on stream and go, like, they are stealing from us and they do not pay what they owe and they should give us more. And I want to just go, that's why, by the way, I won't say how, but if I ever get a chance, I'll fuck them up on that topic. I will fuck their world up, because that is actually gross. Like, the parasite's you moron. If anything, fucking MIBR players were the parasite on the back of the MIBR org, but they were treating it like they were some superstar pop singer, and it was this like greedy little fucking manager, like, hey, I've got all the millions for me, you're really contracted. Because people would say that, people say that to this day, Monty. When you get benched in CS and then no team wants you, so they won't pay the big buyout, they go, he's in contract jail, he only gets half his salary, so he just plays CS without even doing anything that helps the org for 10K a month, and they go, I'm in jail. I'm in jail right now. I hate every fucking entity in this industry. You're all dickheads. You all deserve each other. This is hell, and you deserve it. You're all the demons torturing each other. You deserve to be here.
Well,
It's
I mean,
fucking garbage.
we're at the point now where the teams, like, again, Riot will never be a good partner because they hide the revenue from esports because they won't disclose to the teams what the revenue from esports actually is as a marketing exercise. They're not going to say, oh, yeah, here we go. We made X number of dollars based on the skins that were played this weekend on LCS because people bought them. They bought X number of thousands of skins above average on these days. The only obviously tying factor to that would be that pro players were using them, but they hide all of that money. And then not only that, but the commissioner, who in a normal sane sports league is supposed to represent the teams don't have any say in who the leadership of the esport is. So Riot just does whatever they want arbitrarily. And they're not even upholding their end of the deal. They issue shitty little digital revenue streams that obviously it's like literally, if you think about the math for 2 seconds, cannot possibly move the needle. And they don't do media rights. They cancel their stream service. Like, it's insane to me that anybody wants to be a partner with this company. Like, esports as a business for the teams is cooked. It is cooked.
Of course.
And the only other choice you have now is the Saudis. So literally your choice is
the other fun angle.
A terrible business partner, and then your other BFF now is sports washing for a murderous, human rights abusing regime.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.